All right, everybody, welcome back to Boca Raton and the Rural Symposium of Natural Resources. Happy to, once again, bring back John Black here. Earlier this week, we did record an update from Regulus Resources and the resource estimate that was internally completed for the Antiquary project. This episode, we're going to take a step over into Argentina with an update from Aldebaran Resources in the Altar project, although I think a lot of our discussion is going to be talking about the spin-out of Centauri Metals, because that has been the news here as of lately. So, John, good to see you. Thanks so much for, good to see you again. Welcome back to Boca Raton.
Great, thanks. Nice to be here. It's a pretty busy show this year.
Yeah, it is pretty busy. So, there's a lot going on in the copper market. We can talk more about that. We'll talk a little bit about the spin-out of Centauri. But really, let's give us a sense of what's happening on the ground here at Altar, because you did publish drill results back in May. That's the last real news from Altar. Give us a kind of a rundown of what's been going on since.
Well, as many of the listeners will appreciate, we're in South America, so we're just hitting the heart of the winter season. Yeah. We actually just closed our camp last week. We finished drilling about 2 weeks ago. We drilled with 6 rigs up to mid-June this year, which is as late as we've ever drilled. And that drilling was designed to complete infill drilling, primarily to improve confidence in the resource. As most will know, at a PEA we can use inferred resources, but when we move to the pre-feas, as we're doing now, we can only use measured and indicated. So we're moving as much of that inferred resource into the indicated status as possible. Completed a great season. You can anticipate a couple more news releases with those results coming out over the next, say, several months.
Great.
And those should be good holes. Many of them are infill between good holes. So I don't anticipate that'll lead to an increase in the resource. But what we're looking for is an increase in the confidence, the resource category. And that MRE update will be out in September, October of this year.
Okay. Beaver Creek special, perhaps?
Perhaps. We'll do our best to get it done by then.
People always want to have something in their pocket when they go to Beaver Creek, some sort of news to share. Okay, very good. And so everything is wrapped up. I mean, that seems pretty late into the season. It's about the latest you can go.
This is as late as we've gone before. We really got lucky on the weather and wanted to complete just as much as we can, because what we're gathering is a lot of data, not just the infill data, but also geotechnical data, water data, that we use to prepare the pre-feasibility study. That's what we're really working on hard in the background right now, with the estimated time for completion of that of mid-2027. So that's one of the big milestones that's coming up mid-next year.
Okay, very good. And so you're starting to think about what next season's campaign is going to look like. I mean, what are some of those overhanging questions do you think that still need to be answered for Altar?
Probably we're at a data cutoff now for what will be used for the pre-feasibility study, but next year we'll continue to just get additional data focused on geotechnical aspects of the project, water aspects of the project, probably surface land acquisition, other type steps that we're taking just to de-risk the project and make the project have a more clear and better cost estimate on what it'll take to build a mine there.
Okay. Does Argentina's RIGI policy play any sort of effects on the economics of the PFS, or is that too early yet?
Doesn't really play effects on it, but there is kind of some timing consideration. Right. So we'll apply for RIGI. We're preparing the RIGI application now. We'll apply for that in the early part of 2027, well in front of the July deadline. The reason that we don't apply for it immediately right now is once that's approved, you're on the hook for expenditures. So it's best to time to have that completed at about pre-feasibility stage. Okay. Also, by waiting till early next year, we have more confidence in the numbers that go into the RIGI application. So we ideally, this time next year, we'll be delivering a pre-feasibility completed, an approved RIGI application, and a lot better understanding of the deposit. And I anticipate we'll be continuing this robust copper market, so it probably couldn't be a better time to be delivering that type of a product.
Okay, very good. You and I have chatted about the Centauri Metals spin-out, and obviously they did announce a financing here recently. CEO Sam Luong is actively working on that. Probably be better to chat with him, but this is a spin-out from Aldebaran. Can you kind of talk about finally getting to the point of what this spin-out is going to look like, what that pathway looks for current Aldebaran shareholders with expected access to Centauri?
Absolutely, and it's a good time for us to make a summary. As most know, We spun assets out in northern Argentina that we weren't active on. We were focusing on the principal project. Those made a lot of sense to put out, but we're already running 2 companies with our management team, so
Right.
we looked for a new management to take that over, and we were very fortunate to identify Sam. He's perfect person for this. He's off and running, he's doing well. So Sam and the team, with support from our group in the background on this, have just received their drill permits for the Rio Grande project, one of the more interesting projects he has in the portfolio, so they'll be able to drill quite soon moving forward. He just raised effectively his IPO round this week. It was well oversubscribed. He's actively trimming that back and trying to make everybody happy on allocations to go forward with that. But with those funds in hand, when he goes fully public in August, he's going to be in a great position to be generating a lot of news quickly out of that. I expect him to do well on the projects he's starting with, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull some new projects into that company as we go forward. So just for everyone's understanding, the record date is June 26th, so those that held Aldebaran shares on June 26th will receive some Spinco shares out in the new company. Aldebaran will retain some of the shares themselves as well, and that's for 2 reasons. It's a potential funding source for Aldebaran moving forward, and it also feathers the new shares into Sam. If we allocated all of those shares immediately, and he produced good results, he might run into a wave of selling on that, which isn't ideally. We're shareholders of Spinco, of Centauri now, and we want to see that do as well as possible. So I think it's a pretty exciting one to watch. News stories like this always play well in a hot market like this.
That's right. Well, I'm very excited to see it, not only as an Aldebaran shareholder myself, but also individual who participated in the previous round with Centauri. So best of luck to them and team, and obviously we'll continue to follow that story here closely in the months here moving forward. John, let's do talk about this copper market. Since the last time you and I chatted, 2 big news out of big producers, BHP, looking for a restart of Cerro Colorado, KGHM looking towards KGHM 2.0, big investment thinking 30, 40 years down the road. This obviously continues to prove the bullish long-term nature of the copper market, and the miners are really expressing approval of that sentiment here with some big news. There still remains a lack of tier 1 big copper projects. However, I would say that you probably have a hand on 2 of them. So what is your sense of the copper market? Are we about to see some rich, big news with M&A in this sector here?
I think we're right on the leading edge of serious M&A, and that's been one of the themes here. Rick, in his opening address here, spoke a lot about seeing an increase in M&A, particularly in the copper space, and it makes a lot of sense. For years now, we've all anticipated that there would be a copper shortage. It's been pretty well forecast on this, but it seemed to be a long time coming. And what we kept hearing from the majors that monitor our projects as we move them forward is that at $4.50 copper, they were making good money, but not enough to make the commitments to build new mines or buy and build new mines. They kept talking about wanting to see an incentive price of $5 plus. Well, late last year, we convincingly moved through that and beyond now. Yeah. And that's showing as we're starting to see M&A activity pick up. In addition to the 2 new builds that you just mentioned, it was just announced today that it looks like the Chinese are acquiring another project in Peru at the moment. So,
are they? Okay.
Yeah, so we're seeing this activity, and that's you would think that in our space we'd be concerned if someone's buying peers, but it's actually the best news we can hear, because if we see one of our peer assets be picked up, that's one less on the table for interested buyers, and it's more motivation for those that haven't bought yet to be looking to buy new projects. So it kind of creates a fear of missing out type situation and a scarcity of supply, and that's perfect for us. We love seeing M&A pick up this way, and this is clearly the leading edge of what I think will be a very robust year for M&A.
With the 2 news headlines that I described, the BHP and KGHM, obviously those stories are somewhat like low-hanging fruit for those companies, right? There's direct synergies within their own companies, internal dynamics. But, how much even of that is still available for, producing companies to really look at what's available within their own coffers to look towards expansion before they say, we have to go out and literally acquire something brand new that we don't necessarily have agency in right now.
Most, but not all, of the big companies do have that opportunity. I often view that as kind of replacing declining production of their own in many cases. So they're just kind of expanding things, or because their grades are dropping and their production's dropping on it. So those will be taken up, and it varies on the company. There are some companies that have some excellent opportunities in hand and don't need to acquire projects. There are others that desperately want to increase their percentage of the copper market, and they don't have anything internally to do that with. So those are the perfect candidates for us to approach and make sure they're aware of what we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So what's in store here for Aldebaran over the winter months here when you can't get on site?
Just keep really pushing hard on the pre-feasibility activities, getting that all set up as much as we can. You will see probably 2 more batches of drill results come out, and then by the time those are completed, we'll be in a position to put out the new resource update and around Beaver Creek time, September or October, and then be pushing towards that RIGI application early next year, and hopefully approval of RIGI and pre-feasibility completed both about mid next year.
Okay, all right, John. Well, it's good to see you once again. We covered both Regulus and Aldebaran, so we'll look forward to. There's some news is going to drop for one of these companies any other day. I'm almost certain of it. So we look forward to when that day does happen. Appreciate your time. And good to see you here in Boca.
Great, thanks.
Yep, Aldebaran Resources trades on the Venture with ALDE and on the OTCQX with ADBRF. The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.